A couple of you asked about the quadratic formula, so I just wanted to give you a few brief examples with the quadratic formula. Again, this is something that you do not need to memorize. Just write it down in your notes and know where it is. The quadratic formula allows us to solve a quadratic equation. And solving a quadratic equation means finding the values that make it equal to 0. In other words, we're finding the x-intercepts of the graph. So let's just throw a random quadratic equation down there. I'll make sure that this one has some nice solutions for us. X squared minus 7x plus 12 equals 0. Start out by feeding it all into the formula. Negative b. Sorry, I should mention the a is equal to 1 because there's only one x squared. The b is equal to negative 7. And the c is equal to 12. They're just the three numbers in order. Okay, back to plugging it in. Negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. Then you start going through and making calculations. Double negative 7 is positive 7. 7 squared is 49. 4 times 1 times 12 is 48. 2 times 1 is 2. Next, I do 49 minus 48, which is 1. Next, I do the square root of 1, which is also 1, because 1 times itself is 1. Now here's where we get our two answers. We do a plus and we do a minus. If I do plus 1, 7 plus 1 is 8. If I do minus 1, 7 minus 1 is 6. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Those are my two solutions. If I plug those numbers back into the original problem, I get 0 for each of them. Let's do a slightly more complicated example. Let's do 3x squared plus 15 equals negative 12x. Sorry, let me make a small change to that. I want this to equal, I want this to be a negative value. There we go. So 3x squared minus 15 equals negative 12x. First thing you notice, I hope, is that it's not equal to 0. So we can't use the quadratic formula until it's equal to 0. So I'm going to add 12x to both sides. So now I have 3x squared plus 12x minus 15 equals 0. Now it equals 0, so I can go ahead and identify my a equals 3, b equals 12, and c equals negative 5. So we set up the quadratic formula. X equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac, so 4 times 3 times negative 15, all divided by 2a. There we go. Then you go through and do some calculations. So you have negative 12 plus or minus 12 squared is 144. 4 times 3 times 15 is 180. Is that right? Yeah. And 2 times 3 is 6. So I have negative 12 plus or minus the square root. What would that be? 324? 324 over 6. I'm going to check on the square root of 324. 18. Okay, good. So it's a nice whole number. So we have negative 12 plus or minus 18 divided by 6. Then negative 12 plus, this is where we get our two answers, right? We do a plus and we do a minus. Negative 12 plus 18 is 6, and 6 divided by 6 is 1. Negative 12 minus 18 is negative 30, and negative 30 divided by 6 is negative 5, and those are your two solutions. Hope that was helpful.